The UN has become such a toothless waste of time and money. Every September, about 90 heads of state snarl Manhattan traffic so they can sit around and grease each other up in this farcical global jerk joint. The UN rose from the ashes of World War II as a peacekeeping, peaceful international peace body, at least according to Article 1, which exhaustively lists its peaceable virtues. The problem is genocide, rape, and basic human rights violations have proliferated, not only while the world turned its back and yawned, but also as UN peacekeepers were standing right there. In 1994, the UN did nothing in Rwanda when 800,000 people were slaughtered in an act of well-telegraphed genocide as 250,000 women were simultaneously brutally raped. In this modern era, Yemen and Syria have been decimated by civil wars, and the UN has done nothing to stabilize or mend or meaningfully admonish murderous authoritarian actors. Why has Syria been able to tap dance and slaughter its people, creating 5 million refugees, 400,000 dead innocents, and millions more displaced? Because Russia is a permanent member of the Security Council, and they vetoed at least a dozen condemning resolutions. What does this make the UN? A very costly and frigid eunuch. Russia and China either appease dictators or actively violate basic human rights constantly because they weren't total jerks in 1945 when the whole ship of fools was welded together. And now they can't be swapped out for peaceful democracies like Japan and Germany, even though that's what logic and stability would dictate. The UN budget is $50 billion a year, of which the U.S. foolishly doles out 20%. You have 193 participating countries. Cut the pie 193 ways so we can make like Bernie Sanders and all pay our fair share. The UN spends more on travel for its useless lackeys than it does fighting AIDS or malaria. David Beckham is a more effective tool against malaria than this global clown show, and we should bend the UN into a much lesser entity that requires fewer dollars and causes less harm than its current configuration. And move the damn thing to Nairobi so I have a better shot at getting a crosstown cab in September. And that's the memo. The UN Secretary General today called for all countries to reach net zero emissions by 2050 at their Climate Action Summit right here in New York City. This comes as protests swept the world this weekend. Demonstrators brought traffic to a standstill in the nation's capital this morning. President Trump made a surprise appearance at the UN's climate conference for about 10 minutes. But is the UN really the best organization to fight climate change? Here to break it down is Power the Future Executive Director, Daniel Turner. Welcome back, Daniel.
Thanks for having me on again.
So break it down. How is the UN going to save the planet?
Yeah, it's not. And like you just said, Russia is a permanent member of the Security Council, as is China. If the UN really wanted to tackle climate change, according to their philosophy, right? If you buy into man-made climate change, if they really wanted to address it, they would condemn these two countries. China is the world's largest polluter. They are the world's largest emitter of CO2. Where's the resolution condemning China? India is putting 2 coal plants a month online. Where's the condemnation of India, right? So there are things the United Nations, according to their own logic, should be doing. But instead, what do? They go to New York and they persecute us, Americans, fossil fuel workers, the men and women who are actually powering their building on the east side.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And by the way, if you talk to Americans and American children, they're very much aware of the personal responsibility they have for the climate. I don't think that they should be shamed into changing their behavior. I think that they should embrace technology that only the private sector can offer. Government force and capping ourselves at the knees economically isn't going to do anything to make the planet better.
No, and technology in the fossil fuel industry has gotten better. And this poor young woman who's being really manipulated by the left, Greta Thunberg, in the 16 years she's been alive, we have gotten smarter, cleaner, we've gotten more efficient when it comes to oil, gas, coal. And what's the result of that? The result of that is thriving economies and businesses and opportunity and freedom. And in the 16 years she's been on this planet, millions and millions of people from around the world have moved from poverty into the very beginnings of middle class and into independence. And again, there's no celebration celebration of that. There's no celebration
But
of...
here's what's interesting, because as India and China move into the middle class and billions of people are seeing what it's like to embrace and participate in a free market economy, they're like, hey, give us our moment, Western Hemisphere. You've had your time in the blotted out sun thanks to your filthy, dirty cities, and we have cleaned up. So what can you do outside of a globalist international body like the UN? What can actually be done to change the behavior of people and governments in China and India, if anything?
Well, let the free market system work where necessary. And in the case of China, for example, you would think the men and women running for president on the Democrat side would support President Trump's sanctions. The best way to have China pollute less is to hurt their economy, and that would be sanctions, or the next logical step would be war. I know that sounds crazy to say, but if you really think, if you think China is the world's biggest polluter, and they are,
we should probably kill a few 100 million of them.
And if you think CO2 is literally, and they call it this, Kennedy, they call it an existential threat. Well, if it is, and you say AOC has said this is our World War II. Well, if it is, are you advocating war? Clearly, I'm being a devil's advocate here, but the UN and these people need to either take their rhetoric and own it, or they need to come to the table with free market solutions that empower people, bring about prosperity, and that will ultimately, as we've seen in America, make us a healthier and cleaner planet.
Absolutely. Everyone wants a healthier, cleaner planet. I just don't want to be forced to do anything because some do-gooders at the General Assembly are telling me to, when those friggin' hypocrites are flying around in gilded little jets.
Exactly. They've had 7 climate summits so far this year, and they've had it in Abu Dhabi.
You know what else they've had? Free drinks and fancy hotel rooms because they could shove it.
It's nice.
Daniel, thank you so much. So nice. We got to get there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And speaking of AOC, the congresswoman we've been speaking about has said she's so worried about climate change that it regularly wakes her up at 3:30 in the morning. AOC has seen a rapid rise in Washington since she upsetted 10-term incumbent Joe Crowley and won New York's 14th congressional district last year. But a new Democrat primary challenger, Badrun Khan, says the limelight could be her great undoing. Watch.
Since she's been elected, she's never in our district. She's too busy doing Washington and Hollywood. And most of our congressional 14 never seen her. She's not around. She even opened her office quite late, about 3 or 4 months later after she came to office.
She's not there. And that's what she ran on. She's like, I'm always going to be there because Joe Crowley's not. Yeah, she's partying with Joe Crowley. AOC said she tries to, quote, not focus too much on other folks in the field. Is she a one-term, one-hit wonder? The party panel has returned. Joanna Maska, Jimmy Fela, Tom Shalhoub. Joanna, obviously, I will start with you because I think Nancy Pelosi is funding Ms. Khan's primary challenge.
Can we just go back, though? I did not know you were inviting Thanos on the program tonight. So your last guest, I was like, really? We're just going to wipe the planet? We've got all sorts of issues there. But
I think he was using
like
a
we
reductive.
literally have Thanos. Yeah. So on AOC, I don't know what the Republicans are going to do if she goes away, because it is all they want to talk about all the time. I mean, I go to Breitbart.
Donald Trump.
She is
but
there all the time.
MSNBC, the New York Times, obsessed with the president's every move. There's something to be said for
As a representative, you need to represent your people.
Yes.
And I think that, the one point that her primary challenger brought up was Amazon. And I think on that, she needs to talk about the jobs that she is going to bring to the district. And that's going to be important.
Well, you got to be in the district to talk to the people.
I haven't seen her out in Hollywood. For as much as everybody's saying she's out in Hollywood, I haven't seen her out there.
No, but that's I was going to fact check.
I don't know. You guys, maybe you have her here more
big
often.
Hollywood. She's all over big Hollywood.
I haven't seen her. I think that she's going to have that opportunity to explain what her objective is. And I think they'll probably have a really hard time.
So if this woman does what AOC did, meaning if she knocks on doors and connects with voters, I don't care who she is. I think she could pose a threat because a lot of people look at her, and a lot of progressives and democratic socialists have written about AOC and said she's not in it for the movement.
Yeah.
She's in it for herself.
Yeah, and in these small districts, that is the message that sells. Your current representative has gone national. We don't need a national candidate. We need a local candidate. It worked in my part of the Bronx. Biaggi won. She upset I already forgot the guy's name. Cohen, I forget. There was a longtime Democrat in my district. They booted him out. So she's going to have to come home.
Yeah.
She's going to
Come home
to the people.
Come home.
It's a tough week for AOC. She just found out the Electoral College doesn't have a football team, and she had bought
That's why they're not ranked.
Yeah, she had bought season tickets, and there was no games. The car isn't showing up. She should be primaried because she really is, like you said, in the AOC business more than she's in the delivering for the people business.
Yeah.
To your point, the reason we talk about her a lot, for real, is because you always want to, in sports, you always want to attack your opponent's weakness. She's the weakest player on the court.
She's clickbait.
Well,
Let's
very,
be honest.
very well.
You guys,
But again,
10 pictures on Breitbart of her in different poses.
But think about this.
Is not.
But is it
we're
really
attacking
clickbait?
her on
Is it-
substance.
But is it?
But let me jump in. Is it really clickbait?
Back up, because
Yeah.
Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar, both hotter than AOC.
Oh, wait, yeah.
All I'm
wait.
saying,
We're going to
the
get into it. I mean, I would
pictures-
never. I don't
You don't
see a
have to.
woman's aesthetic contributions.
I'll go
I
ahead
see
and
their
say it for you.
intellect above.
Two husbands.
Evidently.
How do you can't get two husbands if you're not good?
Exhausting.
You gotta have some.
Two
You gotta have
husbands?
some talent.
A brother husband?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because he's really
And-
got to suck it up to justify
and a
marrying a
lover.
sibling. You gotta really bring the goods, you know.
I don't
telling
know.
me.
I think the Republicans are going to end up chipping in to make sure that AOC sticks around.
Yeah, I would say this. They do, of course, because back
Just
to
like
your point.
Democrats will chip in to make sure Donald Trump stays
Oh,
around.
I don't
they
think we're
love
getting
him.
that many of them.
He's
this
a
time
much
around.
better foil for them than you've had in a generation.